Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming to our first GIS Day event, GIS Day 2023. Happy Geography Awareness Week, everyone. Veronica is the chair of the Geography Department. She's going to do some introduction for us. And then I'm going to give it a little introduction of who I am. And then I'll introduce our speakers, and then I'll have them introduce themselves, including where they work and what their positions or titles are. And then I'll start with a couple of questions, and then we'll leave the last 15 minutes or so for questions from the audience that you can put right down in the chat, and I will be moderating the chat as well. And we will ask those questions, and then at 6:45, we'll close out the ceremony, so to speak. So Veronica, please introduce our GIS Day event.
Thank you, Jackie, and welcome everyone. Bienvenidos. So thank you so much for being here today. So my name is Veronica Mormino. I am the chair of the Geography Department. Mukila Maita is the GIS drone coordinator of the department. And we are so pleased that you could join us today to celebrate, like Jackie said, Geography Awareness Week, and also GIS technologies on GIS Day. So the GIS theme is GIS and drones at work. And like Jackie explained, we will be talking to you guys, to people from different industries that use GIS and drones in their work. And so you will also share with all of us what you guys do, putting a lot of emphasis on how people prepare for a job as a GIS technician or drone pilot, and the future of these technologies in the industries. So as you can tell, Jackie is one of our amazing adjuncts in the department. She will be moderating and asking questions in this webinar. So I will pass it on to Jackie, and thank you everyone again.
Thank you, Veronica, and thank you again, everyone, for joining us today, and especially thank you to the panelists who so graciously donated their time to come and speak to all of us about their experience using GIS and drones in their work. My name is Jackie Cooney. I'm adjunct faculty member in the Geography and in the Physical Sciences Department. I teach Earth Science and Physical Science, and I teach Geography and GIS in the Geography Department. My other job outside of teaching is actually the remote sensing and GIS scientist for Weather Extreme Limited, where we work on atmospheric research and we work on forensic meteorology cases, which means we investigate the meteorological aspects of cases that could include accident, disasters, crime, stuff like that. So that's my other job. So I am really excited to come and talk to all of you today about GIS and ask all these questions, because this is something that I've been looking forward to for a long time, hearing about different GIS industries or different ways to use GIS and drones in industry. So thank you, everybody. Let me introduce everybody who's here with us today. First, we have Frank Trost from Harper College, and then we have Kevin Snow from the city of Elgin. We also have Micah Kasich from Constellation Power, and we have Dan Bartlett from Cook County Bureau of Technology. We have Maricela Avalos of the University of Michigan Facilities and Operations Department. We have Christopher Washabeck from US Cellular, and those are going to be our panelists today. So please introduce yourselves, tell us what your title is and where you work. And then once we get through those brief introductions, I'm going to start asking you all the questions that I've been waiting to hear. So please, whoever would like to go first. All right, Frank, go ahead. First. Great.
I'll go first. My name is Frank Trost, the coordinator for the Law Enforcement and Forensic Program here at Harper.
Great. My name is Dan Bartlett, and I am the GIS manager at the Cook County Government Bureau of Technology.
Hi, everyone. This is Maricela Avalos. I'm at the University of Michigan, and right now I'm a GIS technician with the Facilities and Operations Department.
Chris Washbeck, Senior Manager, Footprint and Performance Insights and Analytics for US Cellular, based out of Madison.
Hello, this is Micah Kasak. I'm a project manager for Constellation Energy, specifically the ClearSight division. I oversee the drone operations for the Midwest, based out of Chicago.
Good evening, everyone. I am Kevin Stone, a police officer for the city of Elgin for over 20 years, 22 years coming up here. And I am one of the lead drone coordinators for the police department's drone team. And thank you for having me here. And I'd love to talk about what we do.
Great. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much. So as you all see, we have a wide array of people with differing expertises, different industries. So this is going to be a great discussion. So the first question that I have is, what got you into your current industries? What made you decide to work in these industries? I'm really curious.
Sure, I'll go first. So I began my career in GIS working for the Northwest Mosquito Abatement District in Cook County, and recently transitioned to county government. I found GIS, or I guess GIS found me out of necessity. So I actually began working in GIS professionally without any formal training in GIS. All of my academic career came after. So much like many of you, I've been an online student. My entire GIS education has been online while working professionally. And I enjoy serving in the public sector. So.
I think it's kind of funny, you used a phrase, GIS found you, and I think geography and GIS is one of those fields that sort of sneaks up on you like that. I don't know how many people go into college saying, I want to be a geographer or go into GIS, but eventually you find out whether you're in the workforce or you're in school still that, wow, this is exactly what I want to do. My path is a bit of a different one. I guess you could say a retail economic geographer. And so I deal with retail site selection, sales forecasting, demographic analysis. Right out of grad school, I started at Macy's department stores in Cincinnati back when they were still building department stores. And then about 11 years ago, I had the opportunity to start a new retail research group from scratch, including sourcing the GIS software, building trade areas, what demographics are important to us in different sectors. All this was brand new for the company, and eventually a team was built up around me. So I suppose you could say telecom found me via the opportunity.
Great, thank you.
I agree. I'm another person that didn't originally intend to be a GIS specialist or technician, but here I am and I really enjoy it. I had taken a couple of classes in college. I ended up getting an internship with the National Park Service. I moved to University of Michigan, then City of Detroit, and back to University of Michigan in different capacities. First, I started in natural resources, then I moved on to utilities because I felt that there would be more opportunity to learn really what GIS could do and more job opportunities as well. And I was right about that, at least in my opinion.
Great, thank you. Kevin, Frank, Micah, anyone you want to chime in?
I'll go. So again, a police officer with the city of Elgin, Illinois, and again, GIS found me like some of the other people here. Basically, in 2016, my background, I love aviation, so I got my pilot's license at Schaumburg Airport, and while prior to being a police officer. And I use that technology with drones and aviation. And in 2016, we started researching using drones in law enforcement. We went up to Michigan State University, went down to Illinois State Police, who were just starting to use drones for the accident and crime scene investigations. And now the Elgin Police Department, we use drones for all our accident crash reconstructions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in fact, the company that I work for, we work on a lot of aviation accidents and disasters, and we use drone technology there too to look at sun angle to see if sun angle actually played a part in the crashes. So, it's very interesting that you said that.
Interesting.
Hmm.
This is Mike. Kind of the same for me, from a different background, but GIS kind of fell into my lap as well. I was working in the construction management field, and we used quite a bit of GIS and like building information management softwares to track the progress of how a project was going, all this, and then somewhere again, probably around 2016, when drones were starting to really hit the mainstream, we decided to try to start using them in just like construction monitoring and using a combination of GIS systems and trying to integrate that into like building information management systems and using drones and some like terrestrial laser scanners to bridge that gap. And ever since then, I kind of have moved out of the construction management world and more into just focusing solely on like integrating drone into the energy sectors and into some of our like large power plants here in the Midwest, and using GIS systems to collect that data and house it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Frank, the last one to go.
Well, I think I'm a little further away from it, but GIS is something that we all use in law enforcement, and as technology has improved, it definitely helps out with mappings and statistical forecasting, etc. My main experience when it came to the drones, at least early on, I was also at the Elgin Police Department. I retired after serving over 20 years, was the administrative level, understanding the new technology that's available and finding the fit for it and supporting it for people like Kevin, who really knows this stuff, can help develop the team to utilize it to be as far ahead as we are now. And now in the classroom, what I do is I always try to connect so that the students can see, especially the GIS and the drone technology on its many varied uses, not only commercially but in government. And of
Mhm.
course, there's been numerous laws related to it for government use, of course, that have changed, that have really opened the doors for us to help use it to really improve public safety. So my goal is then that I want to make sure that it's something that the students are aware of, and if they have an interest, I'll direct them towards you guys in GIS and Mukila.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
it's a
that,
great field.
please. Sorry, Jackie, please advertise to everyone our certificates. Mukila put them together, and he has done an amazing job for us. So, and GIS is entirely online. So please send people to us. Sorry, Jackie.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's actually kind of funny that you were mentioning that, because I was going to follow up with what Frank said, with saying that there's such a great connection between GIS and law enforcement, and GIS and emergency management, and GIS and fire science. I have some coursework in emergency management and some internships behind me in emergency management. And a lot of my grad degree was looking at crime statistics, geostatistical analysis, and disaster management. So a lot of that. Now, I went to grad school specifically for geography and GIS, so I guess I'm the odd man out here. I'm the one who actually went for that. But what made me interested in it was going the emergency management and disaster route. So I'm so curious that each of you said it. That wasn't like your intuitive thing to do, like going right into geography and GIS. It actually snuck up on you. And so were you noticing a change in your industry for this, or were you noticing that a change in something that caused you to kind of look at this and say, hey, this is going to be where we need to be? Is that what you noticed? Is that what made you kind of make these decisions to follow GIS and drones into your current fields?
I would say certainly. At the county level, a lot of what our philosophy in GIS is to provide high accuracy open data through our Cook Central Open Data Hub. And we also have public facing applications as well. Our applications are usually initiative focused. So we have an Everyone Counts application that has demographic change either at a glance, or you can download subsets of census data that's already been cleaned and is accurate to the county level, so you don't have to battle US Census downloads. We just undertook and released a digital equity map for digital equity. And I think the role of GIS in supporting some of these initiatives that have real impact on the community and providing that data to partners that can take it and run with it is a big focus for us. And I think that as the formal training of GIS and academically or professionally continues to just increase exponentially, there's a higher consumption rate of that data and of those services that we provide. So I think, you know, from our standpoint, it's really making sure that we can provide good, high quality, open data that others can use to affect real positive change within Cook County.
I know I've used your data before, quite a lot, actually. So yes, I love your data. Thank you for making it open source. I couldn't do half the stuff that I've been able to do without it. So very much appreciative of it. Thank you. Anyone else want to talk about how they saw the winds of change coming and they wanted to get into GIS instead of looking from the GIS standpoint and then trying to find an industry that fits?
I'll say something. So as a police officer with Elgin, I don't know, as being a student, I went to Illinois State University and I got into law enforcement, but I had no idea that when I started law enforcement, there were so many different students that got into law enforcement that are from accounting. They have background in GIS. They have a background in fire science. They have a background in education, social work, and with law enforcement, there are so many different avenues in our career, even at a local level with the Elgin Police Department. The technology that's out there now to help us do our jobs, for example, drones save time, save money, and save resources. We also save lives as well. We do search and rescue. We've saved a couple lives actually. And one major incident that we did was, I don't know if anybody knows about Pheasant Run, which is in St. Charles, Illinois. The whole place went down. It burned down. It's right next to DuPage Airport. We were called out there to assist St. Charles police, their fire marshals, and also the ATF. And we used 2 drones, and there was 4 officers, and we actually took still photos of the entire scene, and then we put them into Pix 4D mapping. One thing that we've learned is that not only the investigators of the ATF, the fire marshals, but also the police department, they were amazed at the information that we can capture. And one thing is, once you release a crime scene, it's over, it's done. You can't go back. But with drones, we found out that you could take multiple pictures, 4 or 5, 800 pictures, these still images, put them into this program, and now you could revisit this entire scene day and night. You can have multiple people. So I'm only specialized in one field, but Daniel Bartlett specialized in something else. Frank Tross is specialized in something else. It gets a lot of different eyes and ears, and even a fire marshal to look at burn patterns on a building.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, I know about the Pheasant Run thing. I saw that happen on the news. All right. Well, the other thing I wanted to know is so since you didn't originally start out going into GIS, how did you get the skills to become so useful or so like an expert in using drones and using GIS, because, you know, from a education standpoint, it takes a lot of time, but learning it on your own can be kind of daunting. How did you do it?
That question's for me. I don't mean to take over
No,
everybody
it's
here,
fine.
but in law enforcement, we're always training, and the Elgin Police, as well as other different agencies, are always sending us the classes. So we went to a PIX 4D class through Aerial Metrics, and they're a local company, Aerial Metrics. I don't know if anybody knows them, but they're amazing. Stan and Ian.
Okay.
I think for me, in kind of, I wouldn't say that I learned it all independently, but I think there was a lot of independent investigation when I first started in GIS. And one of the ways that I was able to catch up quickly before pursuing my education, which I'm still doing, is I realized that GIS is a community, and I don't think that's ever going to change. I think because of some of the cross section we've already talked about here, where maybe the county can provide high accuracy data, but you know, Kevin may need it at a higher resolution and a much tighter temporal scale. So that's where the UAV aspect can come in, right? And we can take these massive open data sets, use them to build a base, and then go for further investigation. I think that's the community aspect of GIS. And what I would relay to the students is this is an open invitation to connect on LinkedIn. I would say on LinkedIn, because of the either organizations or individuals that I follow, I wouldn't hesitate to say that it's at least one thing a week that pops up and I'm like, you can do that. There's new ideas constantly evolving, and GIS really is a community. And I think that helped a lot when I first started using it, was listening to the community, reading through the blogs, and then being fortunate enough to collaborate with partners in academia that are much smarter than I am, that have a longer use case of GIS, and being able to work with them. So I think it's the community nature of GIS that I don't see changing, is really important to embrace as you both start and continue in the world of GIS.
I would have to agree with that. Yeah. Chris, Maricela, Micah, Frank, you want to chime in?
Yeah, my pivot was actually right near the end of my undergrad degree when I had that one professor. I was a business major. And I'm like, wait, you can do both? And so that was my pivot to go get a grad degree in geography. But I think part of it is when you come out, and this might address a future question in terms of what's the best way to prepare. It's once you know the technology itself, when you go into, for me, the department store industry and then later wireless, it's just as much about being a sponge to absorb what's going on in the business industry that you're in, almost more so than the software. And I found GIS can be that missing puzzle piece anywhere for anything. And so, throughout the years, if people have been surprised when we'll come and proactively deliver a solution, and you're like, wait, you did that with that? And so I think the aha moment is something we're trying to deliver as well as, have for ourselves.
I wanted to add at my first job, I was lucky enough to have a supervisor that was really open with the type of projects that I wanted to do and diverse work that was given to us. And I was part of a team as well. So that's really where I learned almost the backbone of all the GIS stuff that I do now. I was given the ability to problem solve and troubleshoot on my own, but I also had access to my other team members. And that was really key to me, is being able to talk to other people while I was working through all these different projects. So I would say, if especially for students, if you have an opportunity for teamwork, group work, definitely take that opportunity.
Yeah, cohort is key, and networking is very key. That is excellent. That is so true. I found that myself too. All right. So we talked about the skills. We talked about what you saw coming in your industries, the changing of your industries and stuff like that, going towards the use of drones and the use of GIS. And so as you look forward, what do you see coming down the pike for your industries in regards to the use of drones? Because that seems to be really changing the landscape, and coupling that with the use of GIS. So what do you see for the future here in your industries?
I can share one workflow that may be kind of unique. So I'm going to go to bathymetry, right? I think the use of unmanned or autonomous surface vehicles is rapidly growing, especially within the public sector. There is a really big initiative to start understanding, and these are still drones, right? We may not be talking aerial, but we're talking, unmanned or autonomous vehicles. There are several different public sector entities, Cook County included right now, has an initiative to try to get bathymetric data on all lakes in the county over 10 acres in size. That is one area where the cross section of this remotely sensed data and analysis kind of blends together, because in single beam echo sounding, all you get are points. You don't get that full picture of the bottom of the river. So that's where your interpolation techniques are going to come into play. Do I use inverse distance weighted and IDW? Do I do topo to raster? How am I going to work with the data? So that's one area. While it may not be the drones that everybody thinks of, it's another use case of that technology that is rapidly expanding in some of the municipal partners that I've spoken with.
Just for our audience, so bathymetry is going to be the use of trying to get different layers or different depths of rivers or lakes or oceans, those different types of data using drones or using some sort of remotely sensed software. You can use it for what's called interpolation, which some of you remote sensing students know what that is already, but in case you don't, interpolation is actually where you're trying to fill in the gaps using statistical analyses to try and figure out, okay, if you have this point here and this point here, what is this middle point going to be? So you interpolate that using geostatistical methods like IDW and spleen or spline. I never really realized how to say that word, SPLINE. But so there's different ways to do it mathematically, and the software can do that for you. So that's what that means. Maricela, I think, and Kevin, both of you wanted to say a few things about this.
Yeah, in my current position with the facilities department, there's been a lot of more interest in indoors GIS. So we've been playing around a lot with Esri has a new indoor system, and we want to be able to see our campus in 3D. There's a lot of setup for that, and we're in the process of kind of exploring what that looks like, but we would really love to do things like see the utility lines in 3D, so that when people go out in the field, then they can know exactly where an asset might be. And I will also say I've been removed from drones while I've been at the University of Michigan. There's a lot of approval that we need to do before we fly anything over campus, but I have brought it up.
So as far as law enforcement, I think the big change in law enforcement and drones is going to be automation. It's going to automatically, we're going to be able to hit a button and it's automatically going to map a crime scene. We're going to bring it back down. We're going to have almost instantaneous data. We're also looking at, so in California, like Chula Vista, which is right outside of San Diego. We had two of our officers just were out there last week, and they're having drones respond to police calls for service. So they have technology that they're using where when someone calls 911, it pops up on a map, the location while the 911 call is going on. The law enforcement agency out there, they actually have a program in which the officer can do a radius outside around his vehicle, and he actually can listen to the 911 calls that are going on close to his vehicle and start responding to this. Wow. What I think is going to happen, and we're researching this right now, since our officers got back with this information, is that we would like to actually have drones respond to these areas when the 911 call comes out. And how do we take technology from a 911 call to the mapping to the automation of a drone where we have an eye in the sky immediately before the officers get there? So it's very interesting. It's a lot to take on. We would love to have some great students to join our team with your knowledge and what you learned at Harper College.
Ooh, we hear that, everybody. That's a nice call for some assistance. Micah, Frank, do you have anything to share here? Not, that's okay.
I'm glad you brought that up because me and Kevin had talked about Chula Vista before, and I'm curious to hear from him what exactly is occurring out there. But when I look at the future too, like he says, the automation and with GIS, it is such a crossover that it's not where we have to get a law enforcement specific person to do GIS, which is really great. So I think we can go leaps and bounds with that. But as far as drones are concerned, I think the key to that is you're going to start the automation of drones, utilizing them right from the 911 dispatchers, and you're going to have someone there who's going to handle that or deploy it from there. I think is probably the direction that we're going to go, because there's also, when you mention remote vehicles, they're not necessarily aerial drones. There's also the best way to describe it, if you remember R2D2 from Star Wars. There are, I think New York City has piloted a program, is a company out of California. And basically it's like a giant trash can driving around, and it is fully automated with cameras, two-way speakers, etc. And that too is, a remotely piloted vehicle. And that also, I see that as being connected in the whole overview with 911, etc.
Nice. Yeah, that's interesting.
Anyone want
Michael,
to?
you have
To Frank's point, this could probably be a separate discussion in and of itself, but there is artificial intelligence and generative AI, right? And that is, one good resource to really know how to navigate is the Living Atlas. If you're using Esri products and a simple search of the Living Atlas deep learning models, you will see that there's now available models for things like license plate blurring, face blurring to protect privacy when you're capturing these super high resolution images, and those models are out there and they're being run. Always check where it's trained, by the way. If it's not trained in your area for certain things, it may not produce the matrix you're expecting. But there is that big question mark for a lot of us right now is AI, what is it? How do we use it? And what are the pros and cons? Again, it's kind of a more focused discussion, but within the context of kind of that street level capture, there are already models out there to protect some level of privacy in those collections.
Interesting. Micah, do you have anything to add to this?
Sure. Yeah, so with our changing industry, I see us going going away from a lot of like camera drones and we've been using more equipment that can actually like take measurements inside of the nuclear and gas plants here in Illinois. And instead of sending someone into, possibly get into a high contamination area or an area where they would have to shut down a plant, we're starting to send in like full robotic drones, whether that be winged or crawlers. We also have some submarines that go in and map out into our GIS mapping software, and we can actually see what parts of like a power plant would be contaminated or have a leak,
Right.
high flow issue, stuff like that. In the future, I think the industry is going to shift away a lot from just simply providing pictures. That's going to move more to interpreting. We can send out a drone to go get pictures for us, and we learn how to interpret that data better for our customers and for the the people in the area that those plants are serving. I think there's a lot of value in learning the GIS system quite a bit, and integrating them with like not only just drones, but also like other versions of electronics. That's all I have.
Great. Well, my last question, and then we'll get to the audience's questions. My last question is, what advice do you have for the students if they want to get into GIS and drones for your industry? What skills are you looking for if you were to hire an intern or hire an employee? What should they be building their skill set on for working in your industry?
I guess I'll look at it from the standpoint of when you start job seeking prior to actually needing one, and really start understanding how some of these jobs are posted. Do not rely on job titles if you're looking, especially in the public sector. A lot of times it's very difficult to reclassify positions. So there may be job titles that are GIS, but you may not necessarily be doing a lot of GIS work. The opposite of that, there may be very general terms such as a systems analyst, where it's solely GIS focused. So it's really keyword searches that are critical as you start exploring both looking for solutions and looking for employment. Go beyond the job title and always remember that while there's minimal qualifications, many jobs that are posted, they're looking for the dream candidate. So don't be intimidated by pages and pages of bullet points of requirements. Focus on those minimum requirements and start tracking some of these geospatial job repositories and see what are the most common skills that are being asked for. Right now, anecdotally, I would say back-end GIS is critical need. Understanding geospatial servers and understanding geospatial development. Do not be intimidated by the world of development. That is a glaring need in the industry. So always feel free to investigate further than the job title would be one skill I think is important.
Yep, I would have to agree with that. I've seen that in job postings. Anyone else?
I will say when we've looked for people in the past, and currently we are looking to hire somebody at University of Michigan. I know it's not local, but learn a programming language. That is key for our team. And everywhere I've worked, knowing especially something like Python or SQL is such a huge skill that we've looked for in all the different places I've worked.
That's true. That's true. Anyone else?
If we look, I can look at a perspective a little further. In law enforcement, generally what you see, if you're interested in drone work and even some GIS work, there's not necessarily going to be a specialized position for it. A lot of times what you find, it's going to be ancillary duties. And you could come in with a skill set and develop something that's not there. It could turn into a part-time team, full-time team, or it could just be something that you do in addition to help out your shift, etc. Because law enforcement's a little more decentralized as opposed to what you see in corporate world, where you'll have larger companies and they'll have set patterns and tracks. There's more flexibility, and I'm sure Kevin can add more to it from that perspective.
Yeah, exactly what you said. In law enforcement, there's so many different avenues that you can go, but with GIS, myself and two other officers, we were looking way back in 2016 when we started the program. I had a background in law enforcement, and one thing I did learn though is that you have to have an administration and an agency that's willing to say, hey, let's take technology and let's run with this. Because there's many agencies out there that don't want to, they like just to do the same old thing over and over and over. I would assume maybe with some universities it might be the same thing, but yeah, we had support from our administration, and the key for law enforcement, which may not be on the private sector, is public trust. If we don't have public trust, we're done. So we did a public forum in the very beginning, and we really got into it to see what the public liked. So if you're looking into law enforcement and drones, really look at the agency, look at their core values, talk to an officer, come to the Elgin Police Department. You can ride along with me. I'll show you our drones. We're very open. And again, public is big, is big, the public trust for drones. And like another panelist said here, there with law enforcement, we have the Freedom from Drone Surveillance Act. So basically, law enforcement only can fly drones for certain reasons, where fire department, security, other private agencies, they could fly it whenever they want. For us, we're under that umbrella, which is good. We need that.
Chris, Micah, do you want to chime in here before we go to the audience for a question? No? That's okay. One thing that I wanted to, I wanted to impart my experience here is that you have to be willing to develop your soft skills in problem solving. Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to explore things. Don't be afraid to, if you run up against something, depend on your network to help you through it. Depend on your ability to try and solve it yourself. Doing my work in litigation and research, I have run into many different situations. Now I'm the only GIS person on the team, so I have no network to come to, but I've relied on my problem solving skills to get me to where I need to go and to build these new things. Like I built a cloud layer in ArcGIS, and that was really awesome to show different cloud elevations so that in aviation disasters and aviation accidents, that cloud layer can determine, well, was it atmospheric or was it human fault? So no one's ever really done that before. So it was really interesting to develop it all on my own. And so you really have to be able to problem solve that. And don't be afraid to try something. Even if it doesn't work out, you've learned one way not to do something and not a failure. So, all right, we do have in the chat, we have one question. This is specifically for law enforcement. Was it an easy process to going from being a police officer to someone working in GIS and law enforcement to stop crime?
I'll answer that. So your question was it easy to get it? Repeat it one more time, please.
So was it an easy process to transition, I'll shorten it, to transition from your everyday police officer duties to going into GIS for law enforcement?
Yeah, so it was not. It was not at all. So it took a good couple years before we got it off and running. I started off, like I said, we went to Lansing, Michigan, met with the Michigan State Police helicopter unit, went down to Springfield, met with the Illinois State Police, saw what they were doing, the drones they were using. And to be honest with you, a lot of these agencies out there will sell you on these $20,000, $30,000 drones and say, oh, this is the drone you need, and this is, you got RTK and this and that. And to be honest with you, you don't need, we learned the hard way, you don't need these expensive drones to take pictures. And you do need the back end, the systems to put it together. But like I explained before, with law enforcement, what's different with us is anything we purchase, anything we want to do, and you put drone behind it, they think, well, they're watching us. They're looking in their backyards. They're surveying us. So we have to be very careful with what we do. And I think there was a couple of agencies out in California where they bought these drones before they even got a permission through the public or had a public hearing. We had a public hearing. We had the public come on out. We flew drones with them. We told them what we want to do. And then after we got the go ahead with the public, that's when we started. So we went to conventions in Vegas. And again, a lot of these companies out there, and I'm not going to rip on any one particular company, but they're going to try to sell you, oh, you need this $30,000 drone and this is what it does. You need the knowledge first. Knowledge is the key. The knowledge is the key, and then you can go from there. So it did take a while. We built our program up with 3 officers. So we all have other different divisions within the police department, but 3 officers, and we responded 24 hours a day. 2 in the morning, I was called. We got an accident, a bad accident. Then I go home, 4 in the morning, get a call. DuPage County has a missing person in the woods. We're out at 3 in the morning. They had canines out there, multiple vehicles out there. We found the guy deep in the woods in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So it saves lives. But yeah, over time, now we have 14 officers that are assigned to different divisions. So we have patrol officers, we have evidence techs, we have detectives, and part of their secondary duty is being a drone pilot.
Wow.
And we're on call. So that's how we run our program.
Wow, fascinating. Yeah, I've heard of cases where you use drones for barricades subjects and being able to look inside the windows and stuff like that, trying to get a better vantage point so that you don't sacrifice an officer trying to get or a canine to get in there to see what's going on. You have drone technology, and that in of itself is I saw one actually live on, I don't remember what I was watching, but it was so fascinating to see this in action with a barricade suspect or subject. So that was fascinating to me. So, all right, well, we are at 6:47. So I want to thank our panelists. Thank you all for coming and talking with us, and thank you to the attendees. Thank you for coming, and hopefully you got something out of this. As always, if you have any questions, you can contact me. My email is on the flyer, and you've got an open invitation from the city of Elgin to come and see what they do and see their GIS and drones and go for a ride along. I've done some of those things at different police departments and fire departments, and it's a lot of fun. So I think you should really check it out. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it, and we will be in touch. So great job, everybody. Thanks for coming to our GIS day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you, Jackie. Great work. You've done amazing. Bye,
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye.